Grandma was going to go and celebrate her sister's birthday in Arizona. They were flying through Ely and hit I think it was like a downdraft, and crashed on top of a mountain. And they were trying to get help. They found out they were on top of this mountain, and Hillfield was contacted, and they got them to go in and pick them up off this mountain. And they were there for about 3 days, and the little boy even had his birthday, I think, up there. Seemed like, if I remember right. And then Grandpa and Arlo and Norman, his brother, went to Ely to pick up Grandma Lee. And it took her a while to get over that. I think she even had cross eyes because of the jolt of the airplane. And it took her a while to get back on her feet again. But it was a miracle they found her.
Take one.
My name is Connie, and my parents are Herman Miller and Winifred Griffiths Miller. And I was born May the 12th, 1936. I was born in Ogden, Utah, at the D Hospital. They don't have it there anymore. And I was born at midnight. And this is really interesting because the doctor gave my parents a chance to say I was born on the 12th or the 13th. My dad was superstitious, and he did not want the 13th, so I was born on the 12th, which was wonderful because that was Florence Nightingale's birthday. And so it gave me someone very, very special to kind of live up to. When I was just a little girl, when I was born, my mother and dad lived in Wilson Lane renting. But then they built a house in West Ogden, and it was had 2 bedrooms, no bathroom. And we had a front room and a kitchen and a stove, cold stove. That's basically what it was. My mother and dad had a bedroom on the front of the house. And then the front room theirs was on the north side, and the front room was on the south side. And there was an arch, so there wasn't even a door there. And that's where their bedroom was, and they had a closet. And then we had a kitchen on the south side of the house, and then on the north side of the house, one bedroom. Me and Dick had a bedroom together. But I was trying to think. My mother and dad added on to the house, and I can't remember how old I was. And then eventually we got a bathroom. I bet I might have been about 8 or 9. And then they dug out the basement because we didn't have a basement. I think we had a partial basement, just a small basement. And they dug that out and made a full basement. So sometimes in the summertime it got really hot. We'd sleep downstairs. And when they added on the bed, and the bedroom was bigger, so we had twin beds and 2 closets at the end of the bedroom. And one was mom's and mine, and the other was my brother Dick's and my dad's. So we had 2 closets when we added on. And before we had 1. My brother was probably about 2, and I was probably about 4. And he was really sick, so my mother stayed home with him, and my dad had to work on a Sunday it didn't happen very often, but for some reason he had to work at the packing house. And it was he worked at American Packing, and it was a place where they prepared food, meat, slaughterhouse. And my mother, what we did is we had Sunday school in the morning, and then in the afternoon we would have sacrament meeting, and that would probably be maybe about 5 or 6, something like that. And my mother and dad couldn't go. So I started crying because I wanted to go to church. Because, it was a neat feeling to be there with your family. And I don't know if I understood everything that was going on, and then after church, we'd go out, the kids would, and play until my dad or mother were ready to go home. So my mother we didn't even have a phone. And she must have went to the neighbors and called up my Aunt Maddie, and that was my dad's sister. And she was in the same ward with us. And so she picked me up and took me to church. But it still wasn't the same, But anyway, I was happy. But it was nice to be with my mom and dad as a family.
Was your mom a stay-at-home mom?
Yes, but there was, during the time that they were harvesting potatoes, she worked in a potato cellar. That was probably when I was probably 9 or 10, when I was a little older. And I think my aunt would even come and babysit us sometimes when she would work. And she was the nicest aunt. She was my mom's sister. And she would get us to have naps. And if we had laid down and have a nap, then the fairy would come and give us a treat. So she was the best aunt on earth. We loved having her come, and it was like Christmas when she'd come to visit. She was so special. Never got married, but she was a special lady, my Aunt Gertrude.
What was a school day like?
Well, depends on what day it was. Anyway, we'd get up and Mom would give us fix our breakfast, and we'd say goodbye to our mom. And my brother, he would always give her a hug and kiss, and for some reason I didn't. And she missed that. But anyway, we went to Hopkins School, and when we'd go to school, we had to have a guard to help across the street, and it was usually a guard from probably in the 6th grade would come and help us get across the street. And then we'd go through the park, on the hill was the school, and then they had a bell. When it was time to go in for class, they had a boy or a girl would take a bell and ring it around the school, telling us all it was time to go to school. So it was kind of special. And we had the neatest playground. We had, it was like a maypole, and it had chains on it, and you got to hang on to it and swing around like this. Sometimes kids would fall and get hurt, but it was really neat. We had slides and we had swings, and it was a fun school to go to. We liked to go into the stores, and we would go into the stores on Saturday and do our shopping, for groceries. And there was a dinner horn on the corner, and we would go in there. And we would sometimes go into Skaggs, and during Christmas time they had displays of trains, and it was wonderful. And they had wire around it so you couldn't interfere with anything, but it was wonderful. And that was about the only time they had toys. It was around Christmas time. They didn't have toy stores all year long. And Penny's was always a good place. You got to go up and down in an elevator. They did have stairs, but I always thought I wanted to grow up and be an elevator operator, because I thought that would be an easy way to earn money. I want to tell you, when we had bubble gum, and that was during the war, it was hard to get. So if we heard that somebody had bubble gum, we would rush to the store to get our bubble gum and hope we would get there before it was gone. So this was very important to us. We would save up strings and make balls of string, and I think we would donate them. I think they used it to make bombs and stuff. And when we get our gum, we took the aluminum foil off of the gum, because the gum was wrapped with paper and aluminum foil. We'd take the aluminum foil off and make balls of that and give it to the people that needed it to build their bombs and things. If I remember right. We'll have to double check that one. We had Hitler, and we just hated Hitler. And there was Toad Joe. Am I saying this right? We called him Toad Jam. We had different, and then there was Mussolini. I can't remember what his name was, but that was just terrible. People would come, and this one lady came to the house and wanted to sell us light bulbs so you couldn't shine through your window. So if we ever had bombers come over, that you were still have light, but it wouldn't be a big problem. So that was scary. You know, the war was horrible.
Who were some of your friends, and do you remember their names?
Oh yeah, I had a friend, and she was the same age as me, and her name was Connie. And I had another friend, and she was older than I was, and her name was Shanna. And then this other gal that we ran around with, her name was Janice. And Connie, she lived with her grandma, and her mother and dad were divorced. And so it was kind of hard. She had aunts, and that kind of helped raise her, but she had kind of a hard life.
What would you guys do for fun?
I liked to play paper dolls, and I had a box full of paper dolls. And one time we went to a town, and I bought some paper dolls, and I was showing, I think I was with Dick, and I think Connie was with me, and I can't remember who else. But I took out the book and showing this paper doll, one of the dolls that I had, and we were walking across the viaduct where the trains are, and I dropped the paper doll, and it went right through the crack. So, you know, we was trying to figure out where it was, and we thought we knew where it was, and we were going to go downstairs. They had a stair so you could go down where the trains were, and we was going to go down there and find my paper doll. A man stopped us. He wouldn't let us go. I don't know where he came from, but we were stopped. We couldn't go and get my paper doll. I never got another paper doll like that. But things like that happen. I don't know where that man came from. He was probably working on the trains, you know. There was a bunch of trains all around. But I guess we weren't supposed to go and get that paper doll.
Where did you go to high school, and what was it like?
I went to Ogden High, and it was scary. Because, you know, it was a big school, and we came from a little school, and you had to have a locker, and you had to find somebody to locker with and that, and then we did, you know, during the summertime, I would work at a canning company in South Ogden area. So we'd have a little bit of money to buy school clothes. Well, I took a typing class, and it took a long time to learn how to type. I wasted a lot of paper trying to type, but eventually I was able to. I took a sewing class, and it took me a little while to learn how to sew good. I never got really good at it, but I passed my class. We had biology, and I remember I had to, one of the tests was, he had all these birds pictured in the room, and we had to memorize their names. And so rather than read and study, when he gave us time to study, I had all those names, all those birds, and I was memorizing all those names. And then when it came time for us to pass the test, all the other kids were going to the library trying to figure out what their names were. But I knew them. And I think they even said to the teacher, did anybody pass that test? And he was going to say, but he wouldn't. He didn't say who. But I think I was about the only one who knew those were names of those birds, because I practiced when I was in the room rather than read the book. They got to bus us to Ben Lomond because, you know, I think they needed people to go up there, and I don't know why, because most people that live in North Ogden area were going to that Ben Lomond, and they let us go too. And they didn't have a lot of people on the pep club, so we got to join. And if we'd have stayed in Ogden, it would not have been possible, because there would be too many people that would have been higher up or been more eligible than we were. But it was a blessing that we could be in the pep club, and she was a really nice teacher. Yeah, they didn't even have a road, you know, around the school. It was just mud, and they had a picture, I think, I'll have to look in the book, of some kids in it with a boat, and, you know, out in front of this school, like with kids, and it was muddy. It was unusual, but here they've torn it down. It didn't last very long. I've been dating, other guys, but they just weren't the right one. I even got a diamond from one of them, and I give it back to him. and all my friends had boyfriends and were getting married, and things didn't look so wonderful. My daddy and mother said, well, I think you ought to go on a mission. I didn't think that was very good for me because socializing was harder for me. I wasn't like my father. He could go any place and tell a story and stay there for hours. But he was a talker, and he knew everybody. I thought my dad knew everybody. I think he almost did. Everybody he met, he'd strike up a conversation. But anyway, I prayed that I'd be able to find a tall, dark, handsome man. And of course, he'd have to take me to the temple. And I went to church this day, and our home teacher was there. And it was before we went into the chapel. I was in the church, but before they were hanging up their coats, I think. And he introduced me to Arlo, and he asked me if I would go to a farewell. He had a friend that was getting ready to go on a mission, asked me to go to a farewell. When I got home that day, I was really tickled here. This real tall, dark, handsome man asked me out. And I got to go on a date with him. That's how I met him. We just knew, when he wasn't around, I missed him. And sometimes he'd be really, really busy, and I'd go see him. So anyway, you just knew that, that you wanted to be with him all the time, and you missed it. And it was in the Salt Lake Temple on August the 17th, 1956. We've been married 57 years, so that was a long time. We were blessed. We could be together that long.
What do you remember on that day?
Well, I was wondering if he's going to really pick me up. My mom and dad left, and I was waiting for him to pick me up. And he was slow getting to me. And when he picked me up, he forgot the ring. So we had to go back to the apartment, get the ring, and he got picked up because he was beaten. And he told him that he was going to get married that day, but it didn't seem to make any difference. I can't remember how much he had to pay, but he had to pay a speeding ticket because he was trying to get to the temple on time. I think we were a little slow getting there. Everybody was there and waiting for us. I wonder if he was going to make it. But I like dancing too, but nothing like him. He always thought he was going to meet the person that he would marry at a dance, but it didn't happen that way. He liked to dance.
And his harmonicas. Did he learn to play while you were married, or did he know how to play before?
He knew how to play before. Yeah, his brother-in-law knew how to play. And so he figured that he needed to learn how to play. So he practiced and learned on his own. And this brother-in-law says, well, you play better than I do now.
What were some of the family vacations that you would have done with your family here?
I have to stop and think. We went to Redfish Lake. That was really important. His mother and dad went there on their anniversary. I don't remember which anniversary it was. But we did a lot of trips to Idaho back and forth. And Redfish Lake was one of the favorites. And we've been to Disneyland. That's what we did when Kenny got home from his mission.
Did you ever have a job once you had kids?
Yes, I delivered newspapers. And that was when Dan was getting her teeth. She was getting braces on her teeth, and Kenny was on a mission. So we needed extra money.
Tell us about the things Grandpa would create to keep your kids entertained?
Oh, he actually made, well, he'd have to be here to tell you how he did it. He had a great big pole out in the pasture, and he had a tire thing. He put it up there, I don't know how he did it, and then we had 2 chains coming down from it, and it was just like the one I told you that we had in school. It was like a maypole. And he would get the kids on there, hang on to these 2 chains, and whirl them around. He loved trains, and in Hayburn there was a train that went right by his house. And one Christmas, he got a model train. His sister was staying there because I think she was staying there with the children, and she made him go back to bed because he got up too early. So he had to go back to bed, but later on he was able to get up and play with his train. And he got a train and a wagon. He never saw the wagon. He was so enthused about the train, he couldn't even tell you that he even had a wagon until later on they told him that there was a wagon there too. And I think he'd even put pennies and stuff on the railroad tracks, and so he had a really good time. And I think there was even a time that the track had derailed, and he was able to get in touch with the train company to let them know that there was a problem with the tracks. He joined a club, and so he started collecting trains. And he's got one train that costs a lot of money, so it took him a little while to save up for it. He had some of the guys would come over here, and they would have a little, probably a little lunch, or have some little food snacks and that, and then they would talk about their trains. It was like Christmas because he loved trains, and you can see him downstairs. We need to see if we can make him work. He's even had, and I think you've seen it, he had a little thing that he had went through the family room down there where he could do his trains. And we can't make it work like he could, so we need somebody that's really smart to make it work.
Tell us some of the memories you have of Grandpa building things for the grandkids.
He enjoyed doing fun things for the children. He even made a zip line out and back. And he also made a water slide out and back over by the clothesline.
Come on, Tiffany.
And I think we even had one on the back stairs here, and Emily was going down it and slipped and got hurt. So sometimes there are some problems. But I think most of the time they were able to play safely. But he enjoyed and then he made a slide over at Deanne and Kevin's house, and Trent remembers, and I'm sure all the children remember going down that water slide. It was a tall water slide. There was nothing like we had here. Yeah, he had, he made many things. He made a yappy stick, and I'll have to show you one of these days. And he made a waddle board where you walk on it, and it was dangerous, but the kids tried it. I don't know if they ever fell or not.
Here's Aunt Chris.
And let's see, what else did he make? And he even made a duck that you push. We'll have to look at it. Anyway, it's a pushing duck. We still have it. And we had a marble game. The marble game was made out of wood, and it would go down this way and over this way and out that way. Yeah, the girls wanted a dollhouse, and he was able to make one. And it had a box at the bottom where they stored their things, and then it was kind of like a V-shape, what would you call it, triangle. And it had rooms at the top, and I think some in the middle and some in the bottom. And he even made little beds for the children to put their dolls in. And I was able to make some little bedspreads to go on the bed. But he was really good with wood, and his father was too. It was inherited, and his brother was very good with wood. He made airplanes and furniture and their bed and a coffee table, and he was really into wood. So it was inherited.
From your lifetime, is there an invention that came out that you remember when it happened and it just stood out to you?
The microwave. I didn't want to use the microwave. The kids said, "You can do it, Mom. You can do it." I was scared to death of the microwave. I didn't want to have those rays, come in and cause cancer. Anyway, now I like the microwave.
But if you could give your young self any advice, what would it be?
Stay true and faithful, and write in your journal. Now I wish I had of.
What is one thing from your life that you never want to forget?
I remember going to Nauvoo and going to the place where Joseph Smith was, his life was taken, and I want to remember those things that we learned when we went to Nauvoo and church history of all the things that our Joseph Smith went through, but stay true and faithful. And how wonderful Emma was to be there with him, and how brokenhearted was when his life was taken. And I truly believe that he was a prophet, and we need to follow our prophets. It's so important. I want my children to remember the last day of Arnold's life. It was a wonderful day. Even though he was going to be leaving us, we knew that he was not going to be on this earth much longer. And he was in the bedroom, and all the children were there. And the two boys, Kevin and Connie, were able to give him a blessing to release him from this life. We knew he was talking to the other side. We didn't know who he was talking to, but he'd say, "Who's going to come and get me?" And then he would sing, up and away, and I always want to say it wrong. In the wild blue yonder, he would sing that song to us. That was the Armed Forces song. And then he would say, "Well, who's going to come and get me?" And it was about 3, maybe about 5 minutes later, he peacefully went on, and that was a wonderful time. I wouldn't want to be without that special blessing of peace to blessings. It made his life much, much easier going to the other side. So much easier for us to see it go peacefully. He really wanted to be with his mother and his father. He kept telling us he wanted to go home, and we finally knew that it was with his mother and father on the other side. And I'm so grateful for the church, and I know it's true. And I want our children to know that the priesthood is so important, that our Father in heaven has given us his Son, Jesus Christ, and has shown us the way back to our heavenly home. And we need to stay true and faithful. It's so important.
already got Kaylee's ponytail. Kara.
Oh, she wore a ponytail with Uncle Kevin. That's scary.
I already pulled it. I won't pull it again.
Oh, there's Grandma.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to my
And we're missing some people. Huh? Linda's in Connecticut.
Gentlemen, boy and girl, welcome aboard Thomas the Tank Engine.
Hey, here we are. We're getting ready to ride Thomas the Tank Engine. This is Kevin and Jared and Tiffany and Caitlin. And Trent, here's Paul. And there's Aunt Chris. And Carrie. Here's Brayden with his sword. There's Trent. Oh, sorry. Here's Kara. And who's that over there?
I have to catch the night crawler.
Is this more ice cream, Tiffany? Let her fall.
Kate's not being so
Carolyn. Like, watch your fingers. Watch your fingers, Trent.
Look, you're on TV.
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Derek. Happy birthday to you. Little Cassidy. Hi, Dolly.
Cassidy. Hey. Oh, smile for Grandpa. Trying to eat something.
Hey, little Cassidy. Hello there. Hello there.
Was that you coloring on the wall this morning?
Hello there, Amanda. There's Kara swinging in the tree. Point those toes, straighten those knees. Woo!
Oh, Bracken.
Roly poly go.
This is Courtney and Grandma. Huh?
Bye, Grandpa.
She's a Courtney.
Bye. I gotta go get cleaned up. Say hi. Say hi. Say, I like my mama. I like my brothers and sisters.
There's Papa, Mapandapa, and Brapa Coffin. There's Emma.
Come back. The fire
There's Emma.
throwing it. Come on, if you want.
Dallin. Dallin. Derek, he thinks he's going to show us how to jump up the steps.
Maybe his energy's all gone now. Here we go. Up, up. Oh, just about. Here we go.
Hey, look at him go.
Bye.